sun.
Oh boy.
It's always up there. It's always up there. It's always up there.
Yeah.
I don't even know the full words of the song. I just know those 4 lines and that's it.
Yeah.
I know he says swallows at one point. I think he says hollows another.
Yeah. He
and then
swallows
it's
the hollows.
Everywhere, whatever. Anyway, so Geek Pantsers, welcome back to another Geek Pants Camcast. We apologize for the delay, but life finds a way to prevent us from bringing you brand new Camcasts. And this one in particular, Kenneth and I are going to be talking about Jurassic World Dominion. Or, as Kenneth calls it, JYD.
Yeah, that's all me.
Yeah, it's all me. It's all me.
It's all me.
Thought I'd give Kenneth some
abbreviations where it's at.
Anyway, so yeah, this movie came out 2022. We actually just saw it not too long ago.
Yes.
Opening weekend, we saw it no less. And well, budget was surprisingly a small 185 mil.
That's really small, actually.
I was surprised to see that as a budget. Current box office 449.7. So,
halfway to a bill already.
Halfway to a bill. It's not going to make $1 billion. I don't even know that it's going to come close.
Yeah, it's word of mouth has not been pretty for this movie.
No, and I mean, well, we'll get into it. But first, it was directed by Colin Trevorrow. Screenplay by Emily Carmichael and Colin Trevorrow. Based on the story by, can you guess?
Michael Crichton.
Colin Devereaux and Derek Connolly, but based on characters created by...
Michael Crichton.
There you go.
Hey.
There you go. The cast, well, shocker, Owen Grady, played by Chris Pratt, who still is getting shit on. Still.
Because of his church.
Because of his church. And he's sitting there going like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the church I go to, we don't care. We love everybody. And it's like, okay, all right. But Tom Cruise doesn't get shit on like he does.
No. Well, he had his moment in the sun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even because of his religion. It was about him jumping on a couch one time on Oprah.
It's like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's because he switched his publicist. His publicist was his sister, and then I think he fired her, went to someone else, and then started talking about Scientology and Katie Holmes. That was it. But anyway, so he's still getting a lot of hate, but I think he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I got no problem with the guy.
I have no reason to think
it's not like he's pulling a Mel Gibson.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we've got, his life partner is how Wikipedia worded it. Or no, long-term partner is how it was worded. So Claire Dearing, played by the always amazing Bryce Dallas Howard.
Ages like a fine wine.
Now this is where it gets interesting. Okay, we've got Dr. L. Oh, sorry. Spoilers. Big fat fucking spoilers.
Yes.
So anyway, if you didn't know, Dr. Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, is in this movie. Okay, you probably Jeff Goldblum was in the last one, so you're gonna say, well, of course Dr. Ian Malcolm is in this one. Of course he is. But here's another big surprise. This one surprised me the most. But of course, when you heard that Laura Dern was coming, it was not as surprising.
Yeah.
But I was still surprised. And that is Dr. Alan Grant makes his return to the franchise, played by, once again, Sam Neill.
Yep.
And that motherfucker doesn't age.
No. He gets gray in the hair and that's it.
Goldblum and him look phenomenal. Okay. Laura Dern has aged. I'm not going to say she still looks phenomenal, but she has aged.
Amazing.
You could tell. But Sam Neill, when I saw him, I was like, are you kidding? Like, what? It looks like he stepped off the event horizon into this movie and nothing changed except for the gray.
Gray hair is really, that's it.
But it's super in right now. So
yeah,
no, it's so hot right now.
It's
so hot.
Yes.
Hansel, so hot right now. Okay. Then we've got Kayla Watts, who is the former Air Force pilot turned smuggler, played by DeWanda Wise. Loved her. She was a standout.
She was great. You know what? The whole time I was watching this, I went, she can be Storm in the new movies.
Oh, I was saying she could be Dr. Ian Malcolm's daughter from The Lost World.
I actually, when I first saw the trailer, I thought that's who she was.
I thought so too. And then, of course, when they showed a picture of her family on her steering wheel, and I was like, it doesn't necessarily rule him out. Could be a stepdad. But then, of course, they found out he wasn't. But whatever. And we've also got Ramsey Cole, who is the head of Biosyn's Communications. Mm-hmm. His name is Mamoudou Ati, and I know you're probably never going to watch this, but I apologize if I butchered the pronunciation of your name. He was also good. I love this. Then we get to, shocker, Dr. Henry Wu, played once again by B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong.
This is the worst he's ever looked. He looks like shit. Now, to be fair, the character has gone through the ringer, and now he's going through his redemption arc. He's realized everything he's done.
Yeah.
So you can see the emotional weight, and it's bearing down on him. So, of course, he looks like a bag of shit.
You see him in Jurassic World, and you're like, right on, woo. And then you're like, oh, my God, he's evil. And
you're like, he is super evil.
He's super evil. And you see him
then
in here.
You see him in...
he's got the hippie hair going. He's all like, oh, forgive me. What have I done?
Yeah, he's like, I want to help kill the locusts. And then it's like, but then you've got Dr. Lewis Dodgson.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the locusts. Yeah, but here's more money. And remember all the stuff you were going to do with the dino cures? And he was like, oh, yeah, I really wanted to help. Okay, yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. But Dodgson, actually, it threw me because when I watched the movie, I could have swore he said Dobson.
Okay.
So then when I read an article, like immediately after, I was like, okay, now I can look at all these articles about JWD, as Kenneth calls it. And and they were saying like, it's Dobson from Jurassic Park. And I was like, or Dodgson. I was like, but he was Dodgson in Jurassic Park, but he's Dobson here. And then I was like, okay, you were wrong, Chris. You were wrong. But that's awesome.
That's awesome. So cool. Like soon as they introduced him, they're like, oh, Dodson. And then Al Grant and Sally, like, oh, Dodson, nice to meet you. And I was like, Dodson, we got Dodson over here.
Yeah.
Right away. I was like, it makes sense.
So retroactively, I was like, oh, that is awesome. And then, of course, it adds more weight to the fucking Barbasol canister.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, and Michelle said the same thing. She's like, oh, I was like, oh, this is so great. So great. Now we've got Barry Sembene, who is Omer Sy, and he was the training partner with Owen. And Dr. Z Rodriguez is Danielle Pined. She's a dino rights activist. And I just realized that the Clone Girl wasn't on this list.
You forgot about Isabella Sermon, who played Macy Lockwood.
Yes, I did. And also one of the best parts of this movie. She
is so fantastic good in this movie. Like it's incredible how much she's grown as an actor since Fallen Kingdom.
And to be there you go.
There he is. There
he froze for a very long time.
You're like, and to be fit.
Yeah. And you were like, but anyway, so to be fair with her, like in Fallen Kingdom, it's not like she was terrible in Fallen Kingdom.
Oh,
she's just, you're right, like so much better.
Yeah. And it's crazy that that's all she's done is Fallen Kingdom in this.
Exactly. And she's just like, she's standing with these established actors and she doesn't feel out of place.
No, not at all.
So yeah, So I didn't get her, and I also didn't include the two helpers for Claire. So
right.
the two sidekicks from Fallen
Justice Smith
Kingdom
came back. Yeah. It was nice to see them both back again.
Yeah, I was actually
And
surprised.
same with Omar Sy. It was really nice that all these characters from the new trilogy made an appearance to kind of like send them off.
Of course, it's been a while since I watched Jurassic World, so I was just like, oh geez, I wonder if Vince D'Onofrio's character will show up. And then within like 30 seconds, I was like, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, if he is in here, he's not gonna look pretty.
But also we get to see Blue come back, and Blue's a mom.
Yeah,
baby Blue. I was like, man, I know it's Baby Beta, but Baby Blue.
Baby Blue.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the cast, okay? And so here's one of the reasons why. He just went right in. Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. There you go. He just plopped his head right in there and was like, are you busy? Too busy for me? Okay, buddy. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. So anyway, one of the reasons why this movie is not going to do $1 billion is because it's it's an ending, but they didn't bill it as the event movie they should have, for one. Because the way that they were building this movie, it felt like just another installment. And they were building it like, by the way, 3 of the characters from Jurassic Park are now going to be in this movie. So the new cast aligns up with the old cast, and that's how the story is. It's going to come here, and then that's going to happen. So they were building it on that aspect, and not, oh, and by the way, it's also the end. This is the end of the franchise. It was only within the last like 2-3 weeks where they were like, this is it. It's the last movie of the franchise. And I think that kind of hurt them a bit, because like Avengers Endgame or Infinity War and Endgame were events.
Yeah.
Okay? They were hyped. Huge. Spider-Man No Way Home. Huge hype. Okay? This movie, they were like, yeah. I mean, you're going to see it, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah.
You want to see the originals, you have to watch the movie. That's pretty much it.
It makes you wonder, like, would this have been more successful if they kept Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler hidden, like they did with Toby and Andrew and Spider-Man?
I think if they would have taken a page from Sony's playbook and basically it said like, well, yeah, Dr. Ian Malcolm is going to be there. We know because we saw him in Fallen Kingdom.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you had a studio leak that Laura Dern was seen filming, or Sam Neill was seen filming, and then you go, wait, was he in it? No, they're not in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then later on, it had Sam Neill say something like, I don't ever want to do another Jurassic Park movie in my life. The third one was so abysmal. I don't ever want to do it. I mean, I know some people like the third. Michelle likes the third too. And to be fair, the third isn't, I shouldn't say abysmal. It's just diminishing returns is kind of.
Yeah, least successful,
and then,
easily.
Yeah, and then you could argue, like afterwards, you could say, well, hold on, guys. I said I didn't want to be another Jurassic Park movie. These are Jurassic World movies.
Oh!
Suckers! Oh! I'm an actor. Remember when I gouged my eyes out in Event Horizon? I didn't actually do that, but you thought I did.
Oh man!
So speaking of which, I am going to be watching Event Horizon very soon because I've referenced it twice.
You know what? I've been craving to watch it lately too.
Well, I actually banged out It Chapter 2 the other day.
Oh yeah, that is a long fucking movie.
I banged it out in 2 parts because I was watching it And then I was like, I'm like, yeah, I should probably get to sleep. How much longer is left of this movie? And I went, oh, it's another hour and 20 minutes. Okay, we'll stop here. We're good. We're good. But anyway, so and Michelle said this perfectly because I asked how she felt about the movie. And it kind of encapsulated how I was feeling about the movie.
Okay.
Whereas, so we both enjoyed the movie thoroughly. I felt like it was actually a fairly good way to end the franchise. I can't really think of anything that I would have done differently or did better. There's nothing at all that I could have possibly that I could think of. She's like, but like, really, what else could they have done? Because every movie, it's the same thing: dinosaurs. Corporation is running the dinosaur park.
Yeah.
They seem altruistic, but it's really not so much underneath. There's something underneath that's underlying. Dinosaurs run amok. Humans have to get off the island. And then that's it. Rinse and repeat. Which is why, like, you get to Jurassic Park 3 and you're just like, okay, so you're on another island.
You can figure out how it's going to play out.
This island is where they created them. Okay. All right, fine.
Yeah.
But there's still people here trying to get into some sort of black market trade with dinosaurs. Like, it's just and of course some of it is just like, so you had pterodactyls. Look, good thing they stayed in those cages. Oh, now they're out of the cage. Well, what's stopping them from flying anywhere? Right? So
yeah.
And it was kind of similar to my feeling at the end of Fallen Kingdom, where you're just like, so we just kind of adapt and we live with the dinosaurs, or do you kill them all? Right? But okay, so there's only so much they could do, right?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, Biosyn was the original company too at the beginning in Jurassic Park, right? Like Dodgson in Jurassic Park 1 was getting this for Biosyn. Am I correct?
I know it was another company in the sequel, in Lost World. I don't know if it was Biosyn in the first one.
Well, anyway, but it's,
Yeah, either way, it's another evil corporation.
Well, this one, I liked that like, I saw comparisons to Apple CEO Tim Cook.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I definitely was like, oh, it's definitely like a Steve Jobs / Tim Cook's kind of type of thing. But immediately I was like, there's no way that this guy is actually a good dude.
Oh yeah, he's a bad guy.
There's no way that he wants dinosaur. Like, the whole purpose was to cure diseases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine, but there's no way. So, there's that aspect where you're just like, obviously he's a bad guy. And I mean, granted, they do a fairly good job for the first little bit of not making him seem overtly evil, but it was just like, it was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, how else are you going to get all 6 of them together? Right? So, like, story-wise, I have no issues with the story.
I have no issues with. I don't understand why people are shitting on the story. Maybe because it feels so different compared to the other movies, because the dinosaurs are in our world now instead of us going to them. But how else were you going to do it? You got 2 side quests that come together in the end.
Yeah.
Right?
And not only that, but like, their stories all made sense.
Yeah.
Like, so Dr. Ellie Sadler is investigating the locusts, and she knows there's something up with Biosyn. Okay. So she reaches out to Alan Grant and says, hey, can you help me? Right. Okay, fine. And then of course, like, you find out that was because of Ian or Dr. Malcolm. And then of course, through Ramsey. And so you're like, okay, so that section, all of it checks out. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right? You've got Beta and what
Macy.
the hell's her name?
Macy. Yep.
Macy, they get kidnapped, right?
Yeah.
So, well, now you've already got Claire established as being a dino activist and like an activist. She's gonna fucking break into compounds and steal actual babies to try and get them out and try to save them, right?
Yeah.
Because of course, like the pens that they're in are disgusting. Like just these
gross. I felt so bad for those little
heartbreaking. You know, it's like you're a triceratops, you're a baby, and you're sick. And on top of that, like where are you shitting? You're shitting in the same place that you eat and sleep. Yeah. Like, ugh.
I'm glad they cut down on the dinosaur torture porn in this one. Because that was one of my major turnoffs in Fallen Kingdom was like the amount of just like pure dinosaur torture we were watching.
Well, the one that got me the worst was when they're off the island, and as they're driving away the island, it's like slowly catching more on fire.
Yeah,
you hear them dying, like they're doing their death moans and shit, and the fucking brachiosaur is like the last one. I was like, oh my god, like okay, I get it.
And now you're on the ship, and they're like pulling dinosaurs' teeth out of their mouths, and I was just like ugh, no.
Even in that black market area,
mm-hmm.
Even then, I was a little worried because I was like, I really don't want to see too much gross shit here. Yeah. And thankfully, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. I was kind of, I was worried about that too when it came on. I was like, yeah, oh, great.
I was like, yeah, exactly. Here we go. But
yeah,
I mean, and yeah, like getting back to your question, like what? So I feel like this movie would have suffered regardless, because if it would have been exactly the same, where like let's say by the beginning of this movie, somehow humanity rounded up all the dinosaurs,
mm-hmm.
all of them, doesn't matter which one, and regardless of even the new ones that they made, they grabbed them all, put them on another island, and said, this time they'll never get off this island, they'll never get free. We've done everything we possibly could to make sure that we can actually do a fully functioning park, just like we've been wanting to do for what seems like 100 years. This time it's good. Well, they have to get loose.
Yeah.
So that you have to fight dinosaurs. You have to, or at least elude dinosaurs. And on top of that, you can't keep showing the same fucking dinosaurs. You have to show new ones. You mm-hmm. have to. So then they would say, well, you know, it's just more of the same. It's just more of the same. That's why, like, I remember we talked about Fallen Kingdom, and we're not the hugest fans of Fallen Kingdom, but I was actually really impressed that they took them and put them in a house and did like a Resident Evil Dino Crisis style feel to it. And I was like, this is actually kind of interesting that this is the route they took. You know, it just, of course, ended in a way that both of us agreed was fucking crazy. But at least they didn't shy away from it. They embraced it.
Like the human cloning thing is still something I'm just like about. Like
I can't. I'm glad that
it's handled better in this one.
Well, because they basically said she's not a clone.
Yeah.
Somehow, her mother
gave birth to herself.
Like much like a dinosaur. So you're just like, okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
Like Beta was created much in the same way that Haley was made, or Macy was made. So you're just like, okay, all right. And I said that to you. I said, well, at least this retcon totally makes that better, because that was hands down my least favorite aspect of Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, easily.
The absolute worst.
I was like, this doesn't even need to be in here. Why is this in here?
Exactly. I think I would have almost preferred Dino Men with lasers strapped to their head, which is what we were supposed to get for Jurassic Park 4/Jurassic World.
Right. Yeah. So everybody bitching about this, you could have had that instead.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, other than that, like,
Yeah, and I mean the other thing people complain about. So one was like so much of the cloning, the human cloning stuff in this, but the other thing was the locusts. And the locusts didn't bug me either because the locusts were the first sign of the Cretaceous age. What comes after the Jurassic age?
I
So
had no
why
issues with that
wouldn't
either.
we introduce something like that? You
Yeah,
know?
and I thought like it would make sense that like it ties into what I was saying with like Biosyn. Like there's no way they're not into some shady shit.
Yeah.
So then when all of a sudden you see these giant locusts and what was it? Ellie notes that they don't touch Biosyn stuff.
Yeah.
And so immediately I was like, oh, well, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to bring in Biosyn as the potential bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes perfect sense, and of course it goes back to that age-old thing, money and control. That's it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, hell, they actually had full-on controllable raptors in this movie.
Yeah.
No issues there. I actually was just like, oh fuck, that's crazy.
That whole fucking sequence was crazy. It was like Jason Bourne with dinosaurs.
It was awesome. It was right cool. That was a standout scene for me. I was like, in fact, this is, and I had the same feeling. I was like, man, this is kind of like Jason Bourne meets Dino. It's like, this is fucking sweet,
Yeah.
And also, like, one of my other complaints was when they tried to do really slapstick comedy in Fallen Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Did none of that here. None of that. But I mean, in terms of actual staying power, I don't know how often I'll watch this movie. Whereas Jurassic World is right up there with Jurassic Park, where I'm like, yep, I can rewatch those movies for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I will.
Oh, I mean, I placed this. Out of the six, I placed this fourth. So
yeah,
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it more than Fallen Kingdom for sure.
Yeah, I am gonna rewatch Fallen Kingdom just to kind of see how well it stacks up now with the retroactive changes. Because at least it's kind of like you watch No Way Home and you have a better appreciation for the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
Not to suggest that it makes them better.
No, but you do get a new appreciation for them for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and I mean, Fallen Kingdom is not bad. It's just when compared to the rest of the Jurassic series, it was a disappointment.
Or even when you compare it to just Jurassic World, like if you keep the two franchises separate, okay.
You come off of Jurassic World. Jurassic World's fucking amazing. Like that is
Jurassic World,
the closest in the series to being as good as the original.
For me, it's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And it's Jurassic World.
Yeah, and the world's right there.
Okay, like just like that. So it's first, second, boom, boom. Okay, because like I can't tell you how many times I've said it, but Jurassic World is one of those rebootquels that's just that's what a rebootquel should be.
Yeah,
it's right up there with Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It's right up there with there was another one. Anyway, just those are the ones where like when they say fucking rebootquels, I'm like no. If they follow those movies, they use those as templates, they'll actually be much better.
Yeah, Jurassic World is friggin' perfection as far as I'm concerned. That final battle, battle with Rexy and Blue against the Indominus gives me shivers every time. Every time. Never mind
the fact that like at the point, one of my favorite scenes is when Indominus is talking to the Raptors.
Yeah.
And then Grady's like, wait a minute. That's why he didn't tell us what the Indominus was made of, because he's made of raptor. And then you're just like, holy shit. So now you got Indominus and the Raptors, like, I don't know how the fuck they're gonna get out of this.
Yeah, just awesome. That's an awesome movie.
And again, like Fallen Kingdom's not a bad movie, but it's such a weird transition from Jurassic World to this.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and the final battle in this movie was cool, but it's nowhere near that first Jurassic World. Nowhere near.
No, it's not even as cool as the final fight with the what the hell was it? The Raptor, Indomina Raptor, or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, the Indoraptor.
Indoraptor, that's right. So Fallen Kingdom had the Indoraptor fight scene, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was right cool. This one was just it was like Michelle said, like, what else are you gonna do?
Really?
How else were you gonna end it? Were you gonna end it with them killing T-Rex? No, of course not.
That's fucking Rexy.
Yeah. So, and that's unfortunately most of this movie is basically just like I will tell you right now, I will rewatch this movie for sure. Okay. And in fact, I actually will look forward to one of those weekends where, you're just like, what, Saturday, let's watch all 3 Jurassic Parks. Then Sunday, let's watch all 3 Jurassic Worlds. I actually kind of look forward to that kind of weekend.
Oh yeah.
And,
definitely.
and then you can kind of see where your favorites realign and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I was happy with how this movie went. I'm just disappointed with the way it was built, because it almost felt like they went it almost kind of felt like they were basically just saying, hey, excuse me, everyone shit their pants over No Way Home with all the other stars showing up, right? So yeah, we'll just kind of do the same thing,
And I mean, honestly, that worked for me. It did. It honestly worked for me. When Alan Grant turned around this for the first time, I had chills. Like I felt it all over my body. I was so excited. I was so fucking excited.
I was pumped to see, like, when I saw Ellie Sattler, I was like, yes. I knew she was in the movie. I fucking knew she was in the movie, but I was still just like, yes. And then of course I had the same thing with Alan Grant. It was the same. I knew he was in the fucking movie, but I was still just like, that guy still digging up bones,
still doing it,
just still trying to freak the shit out of people. Like, this is just great.
I think it was a great way to bring the 3 of them back and a great way to tie up their stories.
Exactly. I also love the chemistry from all 6 of them. They all mixed and matched all of them. 8 of them.
They were so good. I loved how Alan Grant looked up to Owen because he trained raptors.
He was like, you trained he's like, how'd you do that? And
that
he's
was
just like,
cool.
well, you just bonded at birth and it was built on mutual respect.
Yeah.
And then like when Alan does that.
Yeah, does it with them.
Like, I was like, oh, it's so cool. But I also like it was reversed too, where Grady was just like, oh yeah, I heard about you too. Like, you're like my hero and stuff.
I got into this because of you.
I thought they were gonna do that thing where they're like, I don't know if you remember me, but you scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. You put a raptor claw across my belly. You told me how they were gonna kill me. Oh man, that made me want to like definitely be friends with raptors though. Because I thought they were gonna do that and they didn't. But I was like, oh man, I don't care. But like,
yeah,
it's just so great. Like, it was just a really good movie.
Yeah,
I guess it was just a little bittersweet because you knew it was the end until, of course, they rebooted.
Until the eventual next one. But I mean, so who else I got here? I think Claire had easily the best character arc throughout the whole trilogy. Like, her character arc is incredible.
Yes, hers is great because she's literally that fucking uptight corporate bitch. But then, like, by the end of the movie, well, she's kind of in that Hammond role where she's just like, I didn't want any of this.
Yeah,
I wanted a park where everyone would be happy and we could make tons of money, but I didn't want this. And now I was trying to fight for it. And then, of course, between Fallen Kingdom and this one, we're now, her and Grady are raising Macy.
Yep.
And then on top of that, an active activist to try and help these dinosaurs. You're right. Like, it's one of the best arcs throughout the entire.
She's fantastic. And that, oh man, that what's that new dinosaur? It's got a weird long name. I wrote it down here. Therizinosaurus, that weird claw thing with the bird head.
Like Michelle, she's like, oh, it looks like a fucking anteater. It's got like anteater claws. I was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, it totally does.
But that's the whole, my God, that part where it's like stalking behind her and she's slowly crawling. And then you get that side shot of it going down and screaming against the water, and it lowers and she's just there. Like, that was beautiful. That was awesome. That was so good.
I also loved the scene where, like, when they're flying, like Grady and Watts.
Yeah,
Grady and Watts, they're going down and then they get out, and then that like feather fucking bird thing is swimming underwater, comes out, and like it's got feathers. I was like, man, that's awesome. It's got feathers, and like that whole sequence was awesome. Although I loved how there's like movie physics, right?
Yeah.
So they get out, ice is cracking. The thing steps on it, ice is cracking, but then all of a sudden they start running, ice doesn't break.
Ice good.
But my favorite sort of movie thing ever was right at the beginning when they kidnap the baby triceratops and they're outrunning and outmaneuvering heavy duty trucks from people who drive trucks all day long.
Yeah.
In a fucking service van. I first thought was, okay, so you took a course stunt driving in a van.
It works.
But you know that the van can't possibly outrun a fucking truck. Not one, but 4 or 5, whatever, how many trucks. And not only that, you also have the added weight of a fucking baby triceratops in there as well. Like, okay, but again, you know what I mean? Like, it's movies, so you're just like, oh yeah,
it's movies.
Shut that part off. But I mean, it was a fun, enjoyable movie. It's bittersweet because it's going to be the end of this version of the characters and everything that we know about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, yeah, I mean, like,
I loved it. I loved it. It's second.
I thought it was great.
It's second in the new trilogy to me. Obviously, like Jurassic World, I had no dislikes. I loved every minute of it. This I got dislikes. So I think honestly, this could have used a tighter edit. I mean, it's almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. I would have cut out that whole news broadcast thing at the beginning. And I probably would have just put in Battle at Big Rock again, the short they put on YouTube. In fact, I wouldn't even release that on YouTube. I would have saved it for this movie.
And it's funny that you mentioned that part because I remember one of the first things I thought was, it's weird that the tone for Battle at Little Rock, or whatever it was horror.
Yeah.
And while there was suspenseful scenes in this movie, there was no horror.
No, there really wasn't.
You know, and like, that's one of those things where like I look at Jurassic Park and I go, like, you've got horror, you've got suspense, you've got thrill, you've got action, you've got an environmental message, you've got a like science gone wrong message.
Yep.
You know, you've got people coming together message. Like, there's all these things, and still to this day, there are parts in Jurassic Park that I'm still just like, oh, that's some, like, you think about it, that's some scary shit. You're hunting raptors and they're actually hunting you. I don't care who you are. Your balls are tightening, even if you're a woman. Although I guess by today's definition, some women's balls would tighten. So
you never know.
Made a trans joke. Oh, Christopher, that's low hanging fruit. It's funny that the reason why I'm saying this is because, like, so Ricky Gervais has his new stand-up out. First clip I saw was trans jokes, and my first thought was, really, man? Like, really? I haven't seen the whole act, so I have no idea what the context is. So I did the cardinal sin where I saw a clip of something, reacted negatively to it, but didn't watch the whole picture. So I have no idea if he ended it off by saying, I don't give a fuck. Like, you do you. These are just jokes, you know? Although he did say, I saw that he did say something where it's like, I always find it interesting how I could joke about pretty much anything. And most people go, it's funny. Yeah, he's just making jokes. And then I joke about that. And now people are like, well, he's a horrible human being. And I was like, yeah, you got me. Because I was doing that, but I didn't see everything else. So anyway, back to ball sighting. But like, so, and even Fallen Kingdom delved into a bit of the horror a bit too. They did it different in that claustrophobic aspect.
Yes.
And you didn't have, like, you had multiple dinosaurs, but really it was the Indoraptor that was doing the primary hunting.
Yeah.
And that, again, also, that's scary. That's some scary shit. There's some scary shit in Jurassic World. Not so much with this one. This was more of an action thriller. Which, okay, fine. Again, it's like, I would have liked it if the horror was dialed up a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were in too much of a rush at times. Like, when they should have slowed it down and really dove into that horror. Like the Spitters first returning when Claire's alone, that could have been extended by another minute or two and been horrific.
Oh my God, yes. Yes,
right?
Very much so.
In the tunnel when those
I was going to say that
things,
the Spinosaurs, I think.
Yeah, whatever they're called.
That was the one, like when I was saying they should have dialed up the horror, that was the scene I was thinking of, because you're in this, like you're in these caverns, it's claustrophobic, you're in the earth, and then all of a sudden there's all these things coming at you. So they could have dialed up that a bit. I agree. They could have extended the spitters, Lepidopterus.
It starts with a D.
I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
They could have. They definitely, because that's one of those ones like we saw them and we were immediately like, oh yeah, but also it was like, oh shit, because that was my reaction. I was like, oh fuck, these guys.
When she turns around to the bush rattling and you just hear the ba-doo, 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 and you're like, oh.
Michelle and I both were just like, oh. But again, that was the reaction. It was just, oh fuck, these guys. Oh, now granted, Dodgson getting fucked over by those ones, I was like, yes. That is the perfect. Only way for you to die, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah. You and Nedry, fuck you.
That was so good.
But yeah, and I do kind of like your idea. Like, what a way to tell everybody that we're integrating everything, because they didn't do anything different than how they ended Fallen Kingdom.
Right.
They showed the almost exact same clips of now the dinosaurs like running amok. Well, you're right. Show that whole clip, Battle at Little Rock.
Battle of Big Rock.
Battle of Big Rock.
Whole 8-minute short, and that's the opening to this.
Yeah. And then like have a blurb, somebody saying, well, now we live amongst them.
Yeah.
We try our best to live amongst them. And then that's it. And then you're right. Like then you can, because then it also sets a bit of that horror tone that you can jump back into, and it's not so jarring.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it, that is one of the feelings. You're right. Like I miss that feeling, because there should be an element of horror to this. Yeah. There's the sense of wonder that you get, like when you see Ellie Statler, like on the Triceratops belly, or no, it was Sam Neill, and he was just like, oh, and you're like, yeah, you're like a fucking kid, and then he's like, wait, you got raptors, and now he's like shitting his pants, That's how it should be.
And I mean, they had that in this movie where Macy was with those loggers and everything, and that tall neck was walking through.
Yeah.
And that was that awesome sense of wonder scene, right?
That was I was like, oh man, that's awesome. That's so great. And then like how she guides them to get it out of there.
Yeah.
And of course I was just like, oh man, I feel so bad because they're probably working slower because they're cold-blooded. It's fucking freezing. But even that element, I do like how even with Blue, regardless of the relationship with Grady's just like, yeah, it'll kill you.
Yeah. 100% she'll kill us. She'll kill us in an instant.
Totally fucking destroy us. It's just mutual respect. That's the only reason why I'm able to just be like,
yeah,
okay. And even like when it slashed at him, because it's the baby, I was just like, oh man, like you could feel it, right?
Yeah.
So like there are, like this is, I mean, it's largely a good movie, but there is.
It's a fantastic movie. There's just things like
stuff missing.
After watching it, like there's just these little things like Ian Malcolm was too juvenile in this movie. He had some really funny one-liners, but he was also played as really stupid at times. And I didn't like that aspect.
Which was kind of surprising because, I mean, what I didn't like, not so much that, I agree with that aspect because there was some lines that just seemed weirdly placed.
Yeah.
And again, like we go back to Jurassic Park and The Lost World, right?
Yeah.
And really Malcolm's character is he's just more of an action hero in the second one, but he's still a chaotician, and he's still basically saying like, this is fucking wrong. We've got to shut this shit down. But now he's got to be the hero.
Yeah.
And then they go back to, it's like they were cosplaying Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park with this one.
They were, Like oh, you have a dinosaur on your back. Like there's little things where I was like, that's funny. But what really bugged me, where
that
really
part I was
out,
like, that's fine. Those are tension breakers.
Yeah.
That's great.
What really stood out was when he was trying to figure out the code to get into that gate. And I was just like, this is so stupid for Ian Malcolm right now.
And like intentionally, like she's like, which one is it? You know, it's fourth from the top or third from the bottom. It's the same one. And you're like,
yeah,
it's out of all the times to be a difficult prick, this isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't the time, because the last time they had to reboot a park, people died. And also, you could die here. This is the end of the franchise. You might not make it out.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into my final dislike, is that the stakes weren't high in this movie. I hate to say it, like it breaks my heart to say it, but one of the original three should have died in this. And it's hard for me to say that. And I do agree that it should have been Ian Malcolm. I think it should have been Ian Malcolm sacrificed.
Well, because then you don't get the happy ending with Alan Grant and Statler, and that's awesome.
Right. And that was great.
And I agree.
I think when that Giganosaurus or whatever was there, and Malcolm's there, and he's got the fire, like I thought he was going to sacrifice himself there to save everyone. I
thought so too. I flat out thought he was going to. I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, I'm prepared for this. I think this is going to happen. And okay, all right. You know, and then you're right. Like it does rob the stakes a bit.
I mean, like at the end of the day, there was what, 6, 7 of them, right? Because they brought Wu along with them too.
Yep.
So there were 7 of them, and not one of them died. They made it through hell, basically.
Yep.
Fine.
With very minimal injuries, no less.
Very minimum injuries. Like, and that's probably my major dislike. I know it's something that would have pissed off viewers, but I think at the end of the day, they would have respected the movie more than they do now.
Yeah, like it's funny that like Jurassic World played it really safe, but it worked really well.
Yeah.
Jurassic Fallen Kingdom didn't play it as safe, and then people shit on it for it.
Yeah.
And the only what it really boils down to, it literally felt like they had 2 different movies that they sandwiched together, because it definitely feels like there's a clear shift from by the time they get to the mansion. Like forget about the cloning aspect or anything like that. But the second they got to the mansion, it felt like a different movie, and not in a good, not in a way where you're just like, oh, that's not the movie I was expecting.
Yeah, it was.
And I mean, like when I saw the trailers, I was like, oh shit, this is a fucking follow-up. This is a follow-up. And then when I got the movie, we watched it, and I was like, okay, all right, this isn't exactly what I was expecting. But there were, obviously still elements that were quite good.
Yeah.
And when I rewatch it, I might have a different stance on this. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you to the end of the line.
Even Owen, I would have even killed Owen, because I think that would have been horribly tragic.
That would have been horribly tragic, but I think from the sounds of it, people would probably be like, fuck yeah, they killed off Pratt.
Right.
Just like,
I mean, and you could have still had that goodbye with Blue at the end with Macy with Blue, right? I mean,
yeah. Which would have actually been pretty cool.
It sucks to say, but I honestly think one of them should have died in this. Jurassic World.
I agree.
Jurassic World, we watched numerous good guys get murdered in it.
That woman
got slaughtered.
Out of all 6 Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
She's the one that got it the worst.
Easily the worst.
Like, you talk about dinosaur torture porn. Well, we got a little human torture porn.
Here's the other way around. I mean,
like, they stopped short of having the birds like rip her apart in front of us, but to have them constantly be catching her and dropping her and catching her, you're just like,
just so she could get eaten by a mosasaurus. Like,
just kill her already. Like, I don't need this.
Yeah, and then they had Khan, right? That Urfa Khan guy, he died in the helicopter.
Yep.
this in Fallen Kingdom, there was a few good guys that died. James Cromwell ended up dying, and like,
yeah.
And then in this, no one died. Like I thought Omer Sy was going to die. I thought the Raptor had him, and no one was going to watch him die.
Actually, no. That one I didn't think he was going to die. But I thought I have to agree. Like I thought for sure that the second that Malcolm was going to distract the Gigasaur, I thought, okay, well that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And they're gonna kill him like they should have done in the first one, or like they did in the book. Because in the book he dies.
Oh yeah, horribly.
He died like in that T-Rex scene.
Yeah,
it isn't just his leg. It's well, no, he slowly succumbs to the injuries because his leg's infected and stuff like that. So he ends up helping them reboot the system, and then he dies shortly after that.
Yeah.
But then the movie was a huge success, so Spielberg was like, "Hey, Michael Crichton,
sequel.
Why don't you bring him back? I know they napalmed the entire island. He died before that, but they napalmed the entire island. But why don't you bring him back? Because I got a great idea.
Anyone can figure it out. It's you. Yeah. So I mean, that's my dislikes of the movie, and they're not horrible dislikes. Like I still love the movie. It's just little things that I would have changed to make it better.
And I'm glad you mentioned, because like I said at the beginning, I said I have no idea how I would change this, but yeah, you're definitely right. Those are the things that, and I'm glad. So yeah, I agree, 100%.
But yeah, the end of the Jurassic franchise. For now.
Yeah. I mean,
until Cretaceous Land comes or something.
Well, I think what's going to happen, I feel like this is one of those ones where they might, and if they're smart, they might wait a good 10 years before they reboot.
I'd wait a decade, and honestly, I'd probably bring it back as a TV series.
Well, that's what most things are now these days.
Yeah, and they're probably just going to keep going that way. So
who wants a 3-hour movie? We can have an 8-hour movie. That in some cases you have to wait a week for. And you know what's funny? Like I say a 8-hour movie and stuff like that, but I'm like halfway through season 5 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like 22 to 26 episode seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go like, it's insane now to think that TV shows, first of all, had 26 episode seasons.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that these were like 45-minute long seasons or episodes, right? Yeah. Like I'll use, Star Trek as an example. So you're thinking, you go like, okay, so that's approximately 26 hours. So it's 20, like a whole fucking day a season. How do they do it? Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching this and I'm like, people are complaining, like Daredevil, there was complaints that it's 13 episodes is too long.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Back in the day, it would have been double.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it and it's like, well, part of the problem is that realistically now they're trying to tell one story within that season.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like you had one and done episodes, you had 2-parters,
mm-hmm.
but you would also have like even in episodes. So like something would happen in episode 1 of season 2 that would be referenced in episode 16 of season 2, or even season 3 or 4 or whatever. Right. So then, you've got that kind of shit, but also, like I said, like 2-parters and this and that. And I always find it interesting that Daredevil season 2 gets the least amount of love. And admittedly, it's my least favorite too. But that's actually broken up into 3 story arcs with one overarching storyline. It's actually pretty good when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I've said it before, and I won't get in on Daredevil rant. I'll keep it limited. It's not that season 2 is horrible. It's unfortunately not as good as 1 and 3. Like it's just, it's like being the dumbest smart guy in the room. You're surrounded, like everyone's fucking smart, but someone is not going to be as smart as someone else in this room. And here I am, I'm the dumbest smart guy, and it's like, I'm still smarter than all of them.
Yep.
I'm just not as smart as those guys. So, okay, fuck me, I guess. You know, and that's kind of the mentality where it's just like, yeah, but you're not as smart as them, so get the fuck out.
So,
okay, fine. Right? So yeah, so they played it too safe with this, and I agree.
Yeah, and that's
still great. And you're right, second in this franchise, it is the second favorite.
Yep.
You know, although maybe when I watch Fallen Kingdom this time around, I might go, yeah, you know what?
I'm gonna give Fallen Kingdom another shot. I wanted to actually before this. I never got the time to do it, but
so did I. But I just didn't.
Yeah,
That's it. It's just I was gonna write an article for geekpantsmedia.com, but I just didn't. So
didn't. Right now, it's well, I shouldn't say right now. So the final raid for me is Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, The Lost World, this Jurassic Park 3, and Fallen Kingdom. That's the way I put it.
And that's where I'm at too, because that's it. Like that's really it. That's where I'm at. I have nothing else really to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing else to add to this.
Me neither.
So, Kenneth, would you like to do the honors?
Sure. It's been a while. Let's see if I can do it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you enjoyed about it, what you would like to see in future episodes. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow us right here on YouTube, where you can see our faces. If you want to hear us, we're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and also geekpantsmedia.com, where you will find 2 out of 3 of us most days.
I mean, I do have one article on there. So
you do. And
there is 3 of us on there.
It's a fucking great article too.
It is. It is.
I think you're one of those quality over quantity guys.
I hope so, because maybe that's the problem, Where, well, I've talked about this before. The reality is that I have all these ideas, and I'm trying to pick one idea. Yeah. Instead of just starting, like instead of saying, "Oh, you know what? You've got 5 ideas. Just pick one and go with it." Yeah. I go, "Yeah, but I want the." So it's just at some point I'm going to write something, throw it on there, and then justify its existence, as some people would say.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
All right, well, Geek Pantsers, we will see you in a couple of weeks, even though it might seem like we've just filmed this back to back.
Yeah,